Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in his personal prediction with our team through all of our stats, knowledge, and years of experience, it's Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
What's going on? Talking about the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, my prediction. I can't wait to go in depth and talk about this amazing defensive player in just a minute, man.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching live or listening to our podcast, we just want to say thank you. It's because of you listening and sharing our show, 100 Yards of Football, by word of mouth, just telling your friends and family and colleagues about our show, like, hey, are you listening to 100 Yards of Football? That's the way. That's the way that we spread so well, and it's because of you. So thank you so much for that. Well, Mr. Logan Landers, tell us more about the SEC Defensive Player of the Year and your predictions.
All right, let's talk about the young man. You see him here on the screen. It is, of course, no other than Will Anderson Jr. I had to go with the young man out of Alabama, someone we talked about a lot here on the show, and rightfully so. I mean, this guy is an absolute workhorse. 2021 Bronco Nagurski winner for the best defensive player in the country, rightfully so. Also representing Georgia out of Hampton. So glad to see that, right? But my goodness, this man is tremendous on the field. Let's go through his career, talk about him a little bit, and why I think he's going to have a better and even better 2022 season. So 2020, his first season with Alabama, pretty solid year. 52 tackles on the year with 7 sacks and a forced fumble. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. But then, my goodness, last year, he just wreaked havoc on everyone. 101 total tackles. And like I said, 3 passes defended. And finally, the coup de grace, the cherry on top, if I do say so myself. 17 and a half sacks last year. Led the nation, obviously. And just is having opposing quarterbacks have nightmares the night before and even probably the day after this game that they play against Will Anderson. The speed, the ferocity, the technique he has. I mean, he can do anything. And also, not to mention, the tackles for loss. I didn't even touch on that because I still can't believe it when I see it. 34 and a half last season. So good luck trying to run on him. He's just going to gobble you up. And if he can duplicate what he did last year and even improve on him, I mean, we're looking at a potential number 1 overall pick here. And, of course, we all know Alabama breeds football players every single year. But if you just watch how he plays, how he moves, and against big competition, too, in the SEC, where it all matters, against the biggest and best teams, he goes against all the big guys, the offensive linemen, the talented quarterbacks, the fastest, and he just says, you know what? I'm going to get mine, and I am going to throw you to the ground. I don't care who's in my way. He's just a Terminator. He really is. And great shape. I think he's going to look even better this upcoming year. And it's Alabama, right? It is Alabama. We expect them to steamroll through the competition, to have another tremendous season led with, of course, Coach Nick Saban. And, their amazing quarterback, Bryce Young. But I think that Will Anderson Jr. deserves some more national recognition if he doesn't get enough already. And if he plays like he did last year, he could even be in the Heisman Trophy voting, and I think that he could maybe even get it because it was tremendous to watch last year. And I think that he has all the tools. He's a 5-tool player, and he can really get it done. So I'm expecting big things from Will Anderson Jr. this upcoming season. It's going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait to see how even better, how much more this young man on the screen improves each and every Saturday. It's going to be an absolute treat to watch. And make sure you watch some highlights, some old game footage, because it is outstanding. But I think Will Anderson, 2022 Defensive Player of the Year, Jeremiah.
Wow. Yes, definitely. We want to hear more from Will Anderson, and we want to hear more from you, our listeners and our viewers. Tell us in the comments, what are your thoughts on this player? Do you think he'll be the SEC Defensive Player of the Year? And is there anything that you've seen in this guy that we'd love to know more about? Put it in the comments. And thank you so much for that, Mr. Logan Landers. That was actually really, I've got me really excited now this too. So yeah, if you're watching live or you're listening to our podcast, of course, thank you. But if you're listening to our podcast, come over, join us. We put out new podcasts all the time, everywhere that you love listening to podcasts, including on Apple, including on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify. Listen wherever that you love to listen to podcasts. But yeah, check in with us, follow the podcast, send us a review, let us know what you think, and make sure that you follow us back and share because, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, it's because of you sharing by word of mouth, just telling your friends, family, colleagues all about our show, 100 Yards of Football. That's the way that we grow. So thank you so much, Mr. Logan Landers, for that in-depth review of who we think the SEC Defensive Player of the Year will be for 2022. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and join us for another episode of 100 Yards of Football very soon. See you then.